Please excuse the awful lighting in the beginning. I'll fix it in a minute.
Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. Hi, hello, how are you? How has your week been? And welcome to Bookmas Day 2. In November, I read 15 books. I read 4 YA fantasies, 4 holiday romances, 2 historical fictions, 1 romance, 1 YA romance, 1 literary fiction, 1 YA fiction, and 1 YA mystery. So, let's just get right into it. The first book that I read in December was Deluge by Lisa T. Berggren, which is the 5th and final book in the River of Time series. Now, I did enjoy this book. I rated it 4 stars. However, because this was the 5th book in the series, it kind of ended up being quite repetitive. I mean, there's only so much you can write about 2 21st century girls living in 14th century Italy. So I feel like a lot of the plot points kind of got a little bit recycled. I did enjoy it, okay, because I love this series. This is a 5-star series for me, but it was quite repetitive. Then I read Redeeming Love by Francine Rivers. 5 stars. Oh my word. I do not have words to describe how this book made me feel. But I will tell you that I started crying in the first 10 pages of the book. If that doesn't tell you that this book is good, I don't know what will. Then I read 5 Feet Apart. It was fine, but the book was so short. And like the book was only like 220 pages or something like that. And I think that really contributed to a lot of like the relationship between the couple being pretty insta-lovey. And you really didn't get to see them getting to know each other, which is very important to me when reading a romance book. And there just wasn't much depth to the romance. And so I was like, how do you expect me to believe in this? I just like don't even really believe that they even like each other. And now all of a sudden they're like, oh my gosh, I love you. And I'm like, not sure about that. Then I read Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez, and I really enjoyed this book. I gave it 4 stars. I thought it was interesting though that in the first several pages of the book and like the blurb on the back, they make such a point about the couple being an age gap couple, yet it literally didn't even matter past the first 20 pages. But I really enjoyed it, and I actually enjoyed a lot of the plot, like besides the romance as well. Then I read All the Bright Places. I didn't like it. So sorry, that lighting was bothering me so much. All the Right Places. I didn't like it. Overall, I just think I'm like not the target audience for these kinds of books. Like I've said before, like I enjoy escapism. And so like sometimes reading like super heavy books, I'm kind of just like, this book is really bringing the vibe down. Like not really sure why I'm reading it. But also like I just didn't want to take the time to understand this story because it was annoying me. So that probably had something to do with it. Then I read Christmas with a Crank, which I really enjoyed. I gave this 3 stars. It was so sweet, little grumpy sunshine, and really got me into the Christmassy spirit. And I really related to the main character, Olive, quite a bit. Throughout the book, she's kind of like struggling with what she's doing with her life, like whether or not she's going to give up on her passions, what exactly is she going to be doing moving forward in terms of her career. And I feel like I can just like in this moment like relate a lot to a lot of the turmoil that she was experiencing surrounding those types of topics. It was interesting to read it from like that perspective. It just wasn't something I was expecting from a holiday romance. Then I read Beartown by Frederick Bachman. 4.5 stars. This is just the kind of book that once you finish it, you just have to close it and stare at the wall for several minutes, okay? It was so heavy, yes, but I think Frederick Bachman went about it in a really delicate way. And so please keep that in mind and check trigger warnings if you are wanting to read this book, just because I don't want you walking into something you're not prepared for. You get so many POVs in this chapter. I'm really not sure how he organized the book so that you are able to really connect with all of the characters and be able to discern who it is who's talking, because you would think that having so many POVs in a book, you'd have trouble remembering who was talking and having to flip back pages and be like, wait a minute, who is this? What did they do? Like, you would think that this is the kind of book that you would need to take notes on in order to be able to understand it all the way through, but you really didn't. And Frederick Bachman really did an amazing job with it, and I really cared about all the characters. Okay, maybe not all the characters. Maybe all of them, but 2. Then I read Lovely War by Julie Berry. I rated this 4 stars. This is a split timeline. Half of it takes place in World War I, where you are following the love stories of 2 couples, and The other timeline takes place during World War II, which is when there are several Greek gods in a hotel room telling this story. I did really enjoy the World War I timeline and seeing the relationship develop between those characters. I also really enjoyed the Greek god portion of the book. However, there were some points that kind of pulled me out of the story because the way that they spoke to each other didn't exactly lead you to believe that they were Greek gods and that it was taking place during World War II in the 40s. Because the way that they spoke to each other, I would believe you if you had told me that they were living in 2024. And that's just not how I picture those characters, you know? But I did really enjoy this book. Then I read The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, and oh my gosh, 5 stars. I love the books that I've read by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I have read 4 of her books so far this year. I loved the characters, I loved the story. It was so fast-paced. When I tell you this book was fast-paced, I read all 300 pages of this book in less than 3 hours. It was so fun, and I am super excited to read the rest of the books in this series. Then I read A Match Made at Christmas. I rated it 3 stars. I really liked this book. I enjoyed the relationship between the couple and like the plot of the book because they are taking over for a matchmaker who lives on Nantucket. The matchmaker has gone away for the holidays and recruits the guy to take over the matchmaker duties for the holidays, and he recruits his girl best friend to help him out with it. Except the female main character, her name was Prudence. It just made me think of like an old lady. And sometimes I found myself getting confused reading the book and genuinely thinking like she was an old lady. But she's not. She's in her 30s. And her name was Prudence. Oh well. Then I read A Holly Jilly Christmas. I rated this one a 3 stars as well. It's a small town workplace romance, and I really enjoyed the couple in this book. They were very cute. And it was funny like watching them banter back and forth with each other and seeing how they got to know each other. And it has made me very interested in reading the other books in this interconnected standalone series. Then I read Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. I'm not going to talk really about this book at all because the reading vlog hasn't come out yet, but I'm having a great time. I read Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, and Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, all in November. This wasn't the last book, because the last book I read in November was Prisoner of Azkaban. But the last book to talk about that I read in November was Coco Kisses. I rated this one a 3.5 stars. I think out of all of the holiday romances that I read in November, this one is my favorite, just because it involved a lot more of the family. The 2 characters are childhood best friends. They grew up together and their families grew up together, and so all of their family are super close. They spend the holidays together, and watching the dynamic between the 2 mothers of the families was just so cute. And it's like, that is what I want to be when I grow up, with my friends, and like having close friends like that to where you can have that kind of dynamic. And so I think that aspect of it really made me enjoy this book more than the other holiday romances I read this month. So there you have it. Those are all 15 books that I read in the month of November. It was a good reading month. Had a few 5 stars, had some ones that I didn't enjoy so much. Maybe we'll leave that energy in November. I hope to carry the good energy on into the month of December and the end of 2025. This is my last monthly wrap up for this year, because the next wrap up that I do will be my yearly wrap up. That's going to take a million years to edit. Anyways, that is all I have for you guys today. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up to let me know that you enjoy this type of content. Comment down below your most favorite book that you read in the month of November, and subscribe to my channel for more bookish content in the future. I hope you have a lovely rest of your week, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.